right, now let's praise Jimmy Garoppolo. It was a very interesting performance from Jimmy because before the game, I framed it as, look, in 3 hours, Jimmy's either going to be on a Greyhound out of town, going past Vallejo on 80, like through Reno to Salt Lake City, like mentally out. Or he was going to quiet the naysayers and reestablish himself as the unquestioned franchise quarterback on the 49ers. He did neither, which is interesting. Like, no one's saying bench Jimmy, trade Jimmy. Like, he did enough for Niner fans to be like, all right, okay, that looked like last year. We can do this. But when you really are honest with what Jimmy did tonight, it's the same quarterback he was last week and the same quarterback he was week 1, which is not a bad quarterback. He just had a much better game plan from his coach. I don't know what those game plans were the first couple of weeks, and we'll get to Shanahan later. This one was good. This one was like most of the game plans they had last year. Jimmy thrived. So, in a sense, it's like, well, he's not as bad as he looked earlier. That's good. But I don't think he's as good as his box score looks today. I think he's been the same quarterback all year, and Shanahan's been doing him no favors. And today, Shanahan did him a bunch of favors. And he played well. A lot of those shovel passes, I mean, you can't really give him credit for that. Screen passes, all right. He made a nice pass on 4th and 2, hitting Kittle over the middle for about 11 yards, and Kittle ran the rest of the way. He took a hit. He made nice plays. But the thing about Jimmy in this game was like, he still isn't 100% healthy or 100% confident. Like, he's working back from almost rock bottom. So he's not going to light it up and play the way he played against New Orleans last year for a while. He's got to build up to that. And so he's not at his best, but he still won the game. He played winning football. He didn't turn the ball over. He avoided sacks. When the game was on the line, he had a 6-yard scramble and dove forward, lowered his shoulder to get the yards to get the field goal. So it wasn't a flashy game. His numbers don't really reflect what he did, but he won it. A lot of quarterbacks would have panicked and blown this game. Jimmy didn't. Jimmy doesn't always seem confident. He doesn't always seem healthy, but he is starting to seem much more mature, except for those 2 interceptions he had against the Dolphins. But again, I don't really blame him. I don't blame Jimmy for the performance against the Dolphins. I think that was a combination of Jimmy and Kyle. And today, again, a combination of Jimmy and Kyle. So good for Jimmy. It bodes well for the rest of the season because the Niners are still alive. They have their quarterback. They have their confidence and they have momentum. They can go places. They could be 4-3 after next week. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this was big for Jimmy. He hasn't established himself that he's going to definitely be the quarterback next year. I told you before the game, like, hey, the conversation we have after the game is who's going to be the quarterback on the Niners in 2021. We're not having that conversation, but I still think it's a conversation. Jimmy hasn't established that he's definitely the guy. Like, look at how he played tonight. You be like, okay, like, we know Jimmy can beat the Rams. He's done it 3 times in a row. Do we know that type of play can win a Super Bowl? I don't know. Is that play worth $27 million a year? Surely not. But again, coming off an injury, what he's done so far this year, coming off the Super Bowl loss and how everything was dumped on him, it's a nice step in the right direction, and you would expect him to build on it going forward the rest of the year. I think this should be the start of a promising trend of improvement for Jimmy Garoppolo. You could look at this as preseason for him. He's a slow starter. He struggles early in the season. He didn't get going last week until about week 7 or week 8, and that was with a full off season. Maybe he's going to hit his stride, and he's getting a lot of his players healthy on offense too. So, I mean, it's fair to be like, look, man, this wasn't the greatest game ever for a quarterback. I mean, like 3/4 of his yards or more were yards after the catch, and that's true. Like, I wouldn't give Jimmy an A+ or even an A for this performance, but it's a solid B coming off a guy who looked like, dude, do you still want to play football? Like, can you still protect yourself? Can you still make it through a game? Because he hadn't made it through his last 2 starts. His last 2 starts, he left at halftime. So this was a big step for him. And it's like, I don't think we needed to see him throw bombs away, difficult passes. I don't think he made a difficult pass all game. Fine. Who cares? Who cares? Win the game. He did it. Build some confidence. Play better next week. I'm not going to go overboard with his grade, but again, basically what Jimmy Garoppolo had tonight was a binary grading system, a 1 or a 0. You do or you don't. And he did. He freaking did. And I don't know CJ wouldn't have. Brian Hoyer wouldn't have. So Jimmy did. Jimmy, still the winner that we think of him as.